After 3 years of silence, the letter came. It sat in my mailbox like an ordinary envelope. But to me, it felt like it carried the weight of the world. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. The handwriting on the front made my chest tighten. It was my dad's. I hadn't seen that handwriting in years. I stood on the porch, staring at it for what felt like forever. Cars drove by, neighbors walked their dogs. But I couldn't move. 3 years without a word from him. 3 years of unanswered calls and ignored messages. 3 years of wondering if he even cared. And now, suddenly, here was proof. Proof that he hadn't forgotten me. I went inside, letter clutched to my chest. I sat down at the kitchen table. The envelope lay before me, daring me to open it. I slid my finger under the seal. But I stopped. The last time we spoke replayed in my head. It wasn't gentle. It was loud, sharp, filled with anger. He had walked out, slamming the door behind him. I thought he would come back. But he never did. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into 3 long years. And now, suddenly, a letter. I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The words sprawled across it, uneven but familiar. I began to read. He started with an apology. He admitted he had been too stubborn, too proud. He said regret haunted him every day. He wrote that he thought of me each night. And each morning he wondered if it was too late. He said he was scared I wouldn't forgive him. But he hoped I would at least listen. Tears blurred the page as I read. Then came the part that made me stop breathing. He said he was sick. Not a cold, not something small. Something serious. Something that didn't come with promises of recovery. He said time was running out. He wanted to see me before it did. My heart twisted. 3 years of silence, and this was why he reached out. I didn't know whether to be angry or grateful. Angry for the years we lost. Grateful for the fragile chance we still had. I sat there until the light outside faded. The letter lay on the table, edges damp with tears. Memories of childhood filled my mind. Trips to the park, bedtime stories, his laughter when I told silly jokes. Those memories were real too, not just the anger. I realized I couldn't waste more time. I grabbed my phone and dialed the number he left. It rang 3 times before someone picked up. When I heard his voice, I froze. It was weaker than I remembered. But it was his. "Hi, Dad," I whispered. There was silence on the line. Then a choked, "Hi, kiddo." We both broke down. Apologies poured out between sobs. It wasn't neat, but it was honest. He told me where he was living. He asked if I would come. I said yes before he could finish the sentence. The next morning, I packed a bag. On the train, I held the letter tight in my lap. It felt like a fragile bridge between silence and reunion. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how much time we had. But I knew I wasn't going to waste another day. When I arrived, I stood outside his apartment door. For a moment, I froze again, just like with the letter. Then I knocked. The door creaked open slowly. There he was. Older, thinner, frilier than I remembered. But his eyes were the same. Tears filled them instantly. Neither of us spoke. We just hugged. It was the kind of hug that makes years disappear. I felt like a child again, safe in his arms. When we finally pulled apart, he smiled. "Come in, kiddo," he said softly. The apartment was small, quiet. Medical papers lay stacked on the table. I noticed the bottles, the prescriptions. Reality settled heavy in my chest. We sat down, and he began to talk. He told me about the sickness. He told me about the regrets. He told me about the nights he wanted to call but couldn't. He admitted he was afraid I'd hate him. I told him I never did. I told him I only missed him. His hands shook as he held mine. "I don't deserve this chance," he whispered. I squeezed his hand tighter. "We both deserve it," I replied. We spent the evening talking. Not about the fight, not about the silence, but about life. About memories. About everything we had missed. Laughter filled the apartment. This time, it wasn't cruel. It was healing. As night fell, I promised I would visit again soon. He smiled, weak but genuine. And as I left, I realized something. That letter had been more than paper. It had been a doorway. A doorway back to him. And I was never going to close it again.